Do you ever have one of those days or weeks when it suddenly becomes clear that you urgently need to spend some time offline, or at least get a reprieve from doom scrolling? Like a touching grass is not enough. I need to make something tangible with my hands kind of time. It's pretty hard to scroll when your hands are full of fabric, so even though I've been way behind on screen-based work, for the past couple of weeks I've been spending a lot of time sheltering in the warm glow of my sewing machine lamp, dissociating to the soothing sounds of CosTube and pattern drafting demonstration videos. One social media post that did manage to sneak its way past my safeguards has really set up shop in my head ever since. An alarmed note that young students may be changing the way they write to appease robo-grading software powered by so-called AI. The post refers to a book whose introduction states, rather than making software recognize good writing, automated essay graders, robo-graders, redefine good writing according to what the software can recognize. While I do think that it's worth adding this to the laundry list of other unwanted side effects of the current tech bubble, the thing that stuck with me was this reply. It's confining human creations to conform to machine capabilities, rather than supporting the boundless, messy, thrilling, and difficult true human creative abilities. And I think it haunted me because this doesn't actually feel new to me. It made me think of all the other compromises that are often required when we build tools or systems to try to automate or streamline complex problems. I've already talked a bit about this with regard to knitting machines. Sometimes you trade away creative possibilities in exchange for speed. But I think it's even more pervasive than that. When I first started sewing as a kid, I didn't have a sewing machine. At some point, someone must have shown me a couple of basic hand stitches, but I think I figured out a lot on my own through trial and error before I ever had a proper lesson. This was, of course, well before all this information was just a quick web search away. At some point in my teens, I received a refurbished antique beast of a sewing machine for my birthday. I was so excited. I didn't really know what I was doing. I certainly didn't know the correct ways to sew. But I was curious, and stubborn, and determined, and inventive. Commercial sewing patterns to me were a baffling mess that never seemed to fit me, even if I could figure out how to follow them. Instead, I traced garments I already had or draped directly onto my own body, pinning clearance table fabrics to my bra until things just looked right. Later, I studied fashion design at a college whose instructors were very explicit that they were not training us to become innovative designers. They were training us to get jobs, to become parts that would fit interchangeably into the machine. We were taught that the correct way to do things was the fast way, the factory way, the profitable way. We used industry standard measurements, factory replicable bodies. I learned plenty from that program that has turned out to be useful. But nearly 2 decades later, I'm still trying to shed the notion that what I learned there is the correct way. That if, for example, I can't fit my own body using the industrial methods they laid out, if I have to get creative, it is me who has failed, not the system. Watching other makers explore garment construction methods from different historical periods has been a good reminder that my first creative intuitions were valid, even if my own childish techniques were a bit clumsy and unrefined back then. I don't have to abandon useful ideas just because they would have failed me in school. In truth, those fashion school lessons contained tools and rules that were appropriate for a certain context, some of them more transferable than others. It would have been foolish for me to refuse to learn them, to exploit them, while that context was relevant to me. And I don't think we can fault students and teachers for adapting to survive the context of robo-graders either. The problem, I think, lies with systems which insist they are the only valid context. and when we believe them. So many of us regularly try to contort our bodies, sleep schedules, language, mannerisms, and ideas to adapt to systems that weren't made with us in mind. We do what we have to do until we can't. And when I just can't, I try to remember that I and you and the world hold so much more potential than what the machine is built for. To imagine a context beyond it, pick up other tools, break the rules, get it wrong, learn from my mistakes, invent, play, create.